flags waving, dreams in our eyes. The crowds roar like a storm on the wind. We're the underdogs fighting again.
What's up, Sounder fans and Loon fans? Welcome to the MLS Playoff live stream. Game 3 between Seattle and Minnesota. It's about to kick off in about 10 minutes from now. And God damn it, what an excellent matchup as this matchup has gone 3. Before we get into it, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and make sure you turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming content here from Stateside Footy. Of course, the biggest little soccer podcast that cannot be substantiated. I just like talking out the side of my mouth. All right, so Seattle versus Minnesota, and of course, Game 1 goes to a shootout. Back in the land of 10,000 lakes, it goes back to Seattle, where Seattle pretty much dominated. Granted, they did leak 2 goals right before halftime. Before closing it out, Obed Vargas bags a brace in that one. And so now here we are in Game 3. And, of course, Seattle has the playoff experience. And, of course, they've won every single major piece of hardware there is to win in North America. So from that standpoint, obviously, playoff experience is going to come in handy today. They know how to close out these type of series, whichever direction you want to go, whether it's a 3-game series, single game elimination, or, the home and home with the road goals like it used to be. Seattle knows how to deal with it. And so from that standpoint, I'm expecting Seattle to probably win this one. And I'm not just saying that because I'm from Seattle. Actually, I am saying that because I'm from Seattle. All right, here is the starting lineup for Brian Schmetzer. Game 3, and it looks like Seattle has ditched the 4-2-3-1. It looks like they're going to line up in a 4-3-1-2, and I kind of like this from the standpoint of they have their 3 best attackers statistically. Up front with Danny Mazowski and Jordan Morris, Albert Rusnik playing underneath as the 10. Jesus Ferreira is going to be the wide man off the left, and also probably pushing up, maybe even a little direct. Obviously, Obed Vargas and Christian Roldan are, I would probably assume Christian Roldan, even though Roldan's kind of playing that center defensive mid. Let's not kid ourselves here, right? Christian Roldan is kind of that high roamer as Vargas stays back. With that being said, it's going to be interesting, right? The thing that people have to understand about Seattle is, yes, experiences matters, but for whatever reason this season, let's just call it as it is. This defense has been a little leaky this season, and we saw it in Game 2, just being able to leak goals. But that being said, Stephon Fry is in net, the back 4 of Alex Roldan, Ymar, Jackson Reagan, and Yuhu. Christian Roldan will apparently line up as the 6 with Obed Vargas and Jesus Ferreira, I guess playing a narrow mid. Albert Rusnik underneath with Jordan Morris and Danny Mazowski up top. For Minnesota, and yes, Dan Davenport, I will get to you in just a second. Minnesota is essentially going to be playing a bunker and chase style football. They got 5 defenders behind Dan St. Clair. and it looks like it's going to be interesting. It looks like it's going to be Mongloin, Diaz, Bobby Boxall, Dugan, Rosales. They got four-man midfield, Robin Laud. They got Triantis, Will Trapp, and Pereira. And Yeboah is going to be up top in a style. Let's be honest, Minnesota does not play an attractive style of football. It literally is, we're going to keep 10 men behind the ball, and you're going to attack us. And then what we're going to do is we're going to try to counter and try to score goals off that. Obviously, in game one, it didn't necessarily work out. They were able to pull two in game two. But that being said, game three, this is a whole different kettle of fish. And so, of course, from Minnesota's standpoint, I would probably assume they're going to try to stack as many behind the ball to stop Seattle from inverted runs, those type of things. From that standpoint, it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. But from this standpoint, you kind of almost have to go with experience in this one. From the standpoint of, again, Seattle has pretty much won everything there is to win in North American football. That type of experience is valuable. I would probably assume that Brian Schmetzer understands the magnitude of this one. And so from that standpoint, I listen, man, I'm just going to put my money on Seattle for this one. That being said, let me know how you feel about this game three. Leave a prediction in the chat as well, too. As Dan Davenport says, welcome back. Yep, I had some technical difficulties this morning versus Tottenham versus Manchester United. And, of course, Tottenham came back in that second half to go up 2-1 before they conceded late. And at 100%, it is a fair result considering all that is considering. All right, before we get into it, as we are waiting for the start of Minnesota versus Seattle, let's go ahead and take a look at as we take a look at what's going on. Yesterday, NYCFC finishes off Charlotte 3-1. And let me go ahead and pull this as they pulled this one off. Why am I signed into Yahoo? That doesn't make any sense. That's wild. Anyway. Wild. Yeah, so New York NYCFC beat Charlotte 3-1 yesterday. As we take a look at what happened yesterday, and it looks like Nicholas Ezekiel scored in the 45th minute. Right after the halftime, Alonso Martinez scored. And it looks like Charlotte got one back with the Idan Gorno, and then in the 90th minute, it looked like Charlotte scored their third one. So, NYCFC scored their third one at that one. So NYCFC advances. Today, obviously, Seattle versus Minnesota. Hell is Real, Game 3, FC Cincinnati hosting the Columbus Crew. Inter Miami CF will obviously host Nashville. That one went to 3. And then, of course, tomorrow, San Diego versus the Portland Timbers. That goes down at 9 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night, as that one went 3. And then we get into the Western Conference semifinals. And, of course, it looks like at least one of those matchups is already set up, as the Philadelphia Union will host NYCFC and the Vancouver Whitecaps will take on LAFC. And from that standpoint, the way that I look at this, it's pretty simple. As far as I'm concerned in the Western Conference, I would probably think that Vancouver is probably going to be the side that is going to represent the Western Conference. I understand LAFC is a different beast ever since Sonny came over in the summer. It completely changed that attack as well too. And of course, you can't necessarily sleep on San Diego FC. But that being said, man, I take experience, and of course, we look at Vancouver. And the fact that Thomas Muller came in and completely, changed the entire trajectory of that team. And of course, that guy's won pretty much everything there is to win on the global stage. And I would probably think that just that inclusion has galvanized that as well too. But when you talk about experience, of course, Seattle for me is the team that actually is the team that has the experience. And, when you talk about just around the pitch and you look at some of these players, Stefan Fry, obviously been there forever, multiple MLS Cups, CONCACAF Champions League, and of course, Leagues Cup this year, and of course, U.S. Open Cups as well, too. So, him, Christian Roldan, Jordan Morris has been here forever as well, too. He's also, won a tremendous amount as well, too. So from that standpoint, when you look at just this group and this core that has been together essentially since 2016, they have won all the big trophies together. And from that standpoint, you probably are going to lean on experience versus a Minnesota United team that, quite frankly, is, I'll say it, man, it's not that impressive. I got to be honest with you, man. Not really all that impressive. Just the way that they play football. But that being said, they do get results. They did make the playoffs, so I don't want to necessarily discount them, but it is what it is. So we got Harry Namkoon, who says, bad result for Spurs, but Spurs toothless up top. Yeah, but that being said, they completely changed in that second half, especially when Matisse Tell came in and, of course, Destiny Udogie as well, too. And it completely changed that trajectory in the second half. They get 2 goals, take the lead. And the damning result was the conceding right there at the end. He goes on to say, yep. And of course, Minnesota is ASNA of MLS. I don't know what ASNA is, but you tell me. So we're getting dangerously close to this one. As it looks like we are literally right around the corner. We're about 3 minutes away. The interesting thing is the slate around MLS today. Obviously, NYCFC has already punched their ticket. The question is FC Cincinnati versus Columbus Crew, but also specifically Nashville as well too. A lot of people didn't think Nashville necessarily was all that impressive in that second game. I actually disagreed with that as well too. The way that I look at it is the fact that within the first 10 minutes. They get the penalty, they take the lead, they score another one right before the end of the first half, but mostly they kept Messi quiet in that second game. And I thought it was a very good tactical switch from BJ Callahan. The way that essentially they man-marked it, not allowing Miami to be direct. And from that standpoint, I think Nashville actually had a pretty good game plan. And yeah, they kind of held on at the end there. But for the most part, Nashville deserved to win that one. And the interesting thing is to see if they're going to over strategize for this game 3 tonight. And when really it's like, when things are working, you kind of keep that going. Same thing with Portland as well too, right? Me personally, the thing about a 3-game series, it's usually the team that wins the second game generally comes into that third game with all the momentum, right? And that's why, for the most part, it's going to be interesting to see how Columbus responds. Portland responds in Nashville as well too, because as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't be surprised if 2 of those 3 teams ended up winning tonight. He says actually Arsenal. Minnesota is definitely not the Arsenal of Major League Soccer. They don't have the history. That's the first thing, right? Arsenal at least has some history behind them. Minnesota has been a team that's come into Major League Soccer and hasn't necessarily lit the world on fire. I would probably say, if I had to pinpoint, they're kind of like Crystal Palace, just not as exciting. That's what I'll say. And I don't think Minnesota is actually. I can't remember if Minnesota has actually won a trophy. That'd be the interesting thing. I would be curious to see that. So from that standpoint, it is what it is. So we're getting very close here. And it looks like we're dangerously close. It is actually 30 degrees in Minnesota. There is talk of snow today, as we are getting pretty close to this one. So that's going to be kind of interesting as well too. I don't know, Harry. I don't even think that they even compared to the playing style. It's weird to me. Minnesota is just ultra ultra defensive. They pick and choose when they want to come forward. At least Arsenal has some attacking prowess. Me personally, I look at Minnesota and I just think an ultra defensive team that picks and chooses when they want to get forward. I don't, that it's like a bunker and chase style way of playing. And for me, it doesn't do much. But let's see. As we are about 2 minutes away from the start of this one, that's the interesting thing, right? I look at the Western Conference, and I've already predicted it's going to be a Seattle, Vancouver, Cascadia Western Conference final. Again, I just look at this and I just ask myself, is there a team that is so good where the talent is going to overtake the experience in which Seattle plays? And by the way, Seattle's still a very good team. Tactically speaking, they're very good. And from the standpoint of, this team obviously has already gelled. They've already won a trophy this season. And so from that standpoint, it's like, I don't look at this as something that is going to there's not going to be a team, whether it's San Diego or Portland. I just don't look at this as a situation where Seattle's going to lose to either of those teams. Granted, I do like San Diego, but not as much as I actually have faith in Seattle. So from that standpoint, I think they actually get to the Western Conference Finals. And that's the thing. It's like, I kind of agree with Harry here. The winner of Vancouver LAFC will take the MLS Cup. I kind of feel the same way too. I think Vancouver actually wins that series. Wins it. And I think they meet up with Seattle in the Western Conference Final. And from that standpoint, with the history, with the Cascadia rivalry, and the fact that these two teams absolutely know each other's strengths and weaknesses, it's going to be absolute fireworks in that Western Conference Final. I would assume in the Eastern Conference, that's the other thing, right? The Eastern Conference to me is a little interesting, right? I'm not 100%. And by the way, I understand Philadelphia had just an amazing season, and I don't want to take anything away from Philadelphia, but I'm not necessarily sold on Philadelphia. And a big part of me thinks that if they get past NYCFC, they're going to meet up with either. Again, like I don't want to talk before these games come off, but a big part of me feels like if Cincinnati gets past Columbus tonight, and also if we see an upset with Nashville taking out Inter Miami, I would probably assume that FC Cincinnati is probably going to come out of the East. And so from that standpoint, you're facing a very good Cincinnati team that is very, very, very capable of hoisting MLS Cup, right? So it's going to be interesting, right? As of right now, like if it came down to a Seattle-Vancouver Western Conference Final, the interesting thing to me is like, how, where is there going to be advantages for both teams? And then, like, who do you pick? Do you pick the experience, or do you pick Vancouver, right? And I think a lot of people probably would pick Vancouver because, again, they seem to play Seattle tough regardless of whether it's in Vancouver or in Seattle. So that's going to be an interesting one. Harry says, and with Vancouver preferring possession to LA's counterattacking, nice clash of style. I agree with that 100%. I can definitely agree with that as well too. So that's the thing, right? I guess the question is like, especially in Vancouver, LAFC, is does Vancouver have enough attacking prowess to essentially match LAFC, right? Because you already know how LAFC is going to play, right? So the question is number one, can they match LAFC step for step when it comes to goals? But also, is Vancouver's defense good enough to at least keep them in that game long enough, right? And also the same question against LAFC's defense as well too, which is not something I'm 100% necessarily sold on, but we'll find out. We are just a few moments away for Game 3, Seattle versus Minnesota. as we do this bad boy to come back from commercial break. And then this kickoff will go down. So from that standpoint, let's go ahead and take a look at the lineups one more time. As Brian Schmetzer elects to go with a 4-3-1-2. Alex Roldan will be on the right side. The center back pairing of Yaimar and Reagan and Mihu off the left. Obviously, Stefan Fry will be in net. At the center defensive mid position will be Christian Roldan. I guess you can say at midfield 3 of Vargas, Rusnik, and Jesus Ferreira. And then, of course, they elected to have 2 strikers up top with Danny Mazovsky and Jordan Morris. And that attacking combo of Rusnik, Morris, and Mazovsky is going to be absolute fireworks. Not to mention the fact some of the hold up play with Jesus Ferreira and Obed Vargas as well too. That's going to be kind of an interesting combo. I'm curious to see how that actually is going to play out for Minnesota. And it looks like they're electing to essentially have 10 behind the ball, a 5-man back line of Malongwayne, Diaz, Bobby Boxall, Dugan, and Rosales. A midfield 4 of Robin Laud, Triantis, Will Trapp, and Pereira. And, of course, it's going to be Yaboa up top. And, again, the interesting thing about Minnesota is they're going to continue to do what Minnesota does. Is they're going to be strong defensively and they're going to pick and choose when they get forward. The one thing that I kind of like about Minnesota is their speed. I like at times their link up play. I kind of like. But that being said, I mean they're built to defend. They're built to have 10 behind the ball and to try to disrupt, kind of play a little mid blocking style and just try to hit on the counter. So it's going to be interesting to see how that is going to play out. And especially considering that it's going to be like what? What's going on here? What the fuck? There it is. All right. Sorry about that. Just making sure everything is good. So anyway, it's going to be interesting to see, right? In game 1, they did a good job. In game 1, they did a good job of taking it to a shootout. And of course, Dane St. Clair did a very good job in that shootout. And of course, in game 2, Seattle just absolutely rolled. And it wasn't even close. And so from that standpoint, the only thing I'm concerned about from a Seattle standpoint is leaking goals. That is something that has been a very big problem with this team this year. Last year, in 2024, they were easily one of the better defensive back fours. This season, they just have a tendency to leak goals, and it's inexplicably as well too. And that's my biggest issue with the Sounders, specifically when it comes to this game, because they are very, very prone to do that. So Dan Davenport says, did you know the Columbus Crew manager has been leaked to Celtic? Yeah. And it wouldn't be surprising, just considering that Wilfred Nancy has done such a good job in Major League Soccer that it doesn't surprise me to see that now he's being linked back over to Europe, and that would be a very good appointment for Wilfred Nancy as well too, to be able to at least step into the Scottish League, right the ship with Celtic, get them back where everybody feels like where they belong, and then from that standpoint, make the jump, whether it's in England, France, wherever the case may be. But that would be a pretty solid appointment for Wilfred Nancy, no doubt about it. As we are getting set for Minnesota versus Seattle, game 3, as we are waiting for this kick to start, as we're watching dumb Audi commercials. So we'll check back with this in just a second. God damn it. Just get to the program already. God damn it. Anyway, I'm curious to know how you guys feel about this one tonight. Let me know what your score prediction is. Is this something where you feel like the home team actually has the advantage, or is this something where you just assume that Seattle's probably going to win this one? Let me know exactly how you feel if this one plays out, what your score prediction is, as we get ready for this one. And of course, just to let you guys know that you guys can bet on the MLS as well too if you go to DraftKings. Obviously, if you bet $5, you get $300 if your bet wins. So make sure that you head over to DraftKings to do that as well too. As we look at win probabilities for this one. Turn these off. Seattle, by the way, has a 40.4% chance of winning this. They're a plus 130. Minnesota is a 31% chance of winning. They're a plus 200. And of course, a draw is 28.6% plus 225 for all those win probabilities. So it looks like we are almost ready for this one. It looks like Seattle is already at the circle. And it looks like Nate says RFC versus North Carolina. There you go. There you go. As it looks like the referees in the VAR booth today, the VAR assistant is Craig Lowry. David Berry is going to be your VAR referee. Not that it really matters because pro refs are absolute dog shit in this one, but it looks like Seattle has dressed for cold weather as they got the Under Armour on. Same thing with Minnesota United. Right now, I believe it is about 30 degrees for this one at opening kick. It looks like we have a packed house in Minneapolis for this one. I was thinking about going to. Didn't pull the trigger on this one. There's JMO. And it looks like Minnesota will have possession in this one. And they are going to be playing from left to right. What is going on here? And we are underway as that one is going to be played out. I don't understand what the purpose of that opening kick was, and it looks like it was Robin Law that just spiked it out of bounds. So Seattle will have the throw in here off the left-hand touchline. And that's going to be a long throw as Minnesota covers it. And it looks like Christian Roldan will pop it straight up before coming down. And now Minnesota will try to play it forward, but there's Ymar to collect it as that ball's played all the way back to Stefan Fry. And Fry will boot this down the left side, headed forward. And it will come down in Minnesota's possession as they're going to try to work this one, but there was a hard tackle right there. And I believe that's going to get out for a throw-in as Rosales had a hard time corralling that one. It was Christian Roldan was there to kind of break that shit up. And now the throw-in is taken by Alex Roldan as that's going to be popped all the way over to the left-hand side to Nihu, and Seattle's going to do attack here. And it looks like he's being harassed there by Robin Ladd as that ball pops out. And it'll be a Seattle throw-in as Minnesota closed down on that left-hand touchline. And it looks like it'll be Jesus Ferreira taking the throw in here as they're going to play this in to Christian Roldan. That's tapped away. And that ball pops all the way back, having to retreat here. And Seattle closes the gaps here. Headed forward by Obed Vargas. And Seattle's going to have to play this back as Minnesota tries to tighten screw here on the press. But here's Obed Vargas now. Vargas will pop it off to the left. Here's Newhue. And it'll be Christian Roldan to handle the ball, and he's going to play it forward, trying to hit Jordan Morris, but that ball came short. As that ball pops free in the mid, and it's Christian Roldan. And he'll lay this off to Newhue as Seattle crosses the midway line. As Minnesota, again, trying to add some pressure here. And that ball's going to get played forward. And looking for Jordan Morris here. And that's going to get played out as that ball was overhit a little bit. So Seattle, again, will have to throw in. As Alex Roldan will be responsible for the throw-in. As that ball is going to, a long throw into the box, that's going to drop. Clearing out of the box, looks like it was Robin Laud. As that moves all the way to Alex Roldan up the right-hand side. And Seattle will now try to recycle this. Here's Newhue. And that ball gets played back. And Seattle will try it again up the right side. Here's Christian Roldan. He's going to play it forward. It's Albert Rusnik. Now it's Jordan Morris trying to get around the side. And Jordan will play one in. Cleared away. And here's Jackson Reagan. We'll play it off to the left-hand side. It's Newhue playing one in. Danny Wazowski. Ooh, and Albert Rusnik. What a goal. And Seattle grabs the early 1-0 lead, 4.5 minutes into the first half here, as he gets one past Dane St. Clair. And that was an absolute brilliant touch right there by Danny Wazowski. And it looks like Rusnik made a nice little cheeky run into the box off the left-hand side as we see this again. And it was Newhue who played one in. And it was a brilliant little touch right there from Wazowski as Rusnak made a little inverted run up the left-hand side. And that was an absolute brilliant finish right there. And Seattle grabs the 1-0 lead. Unbelievable play right there. And so less than 5 minutes in, Seattle grabs the 1-0 lead as play has restarted now, as Minnesota has pinned back a little bit, as Seattle is going to press. Off the left-hand side, they're going to try to play it in. That's going to get tapped out. As Rosales will play this back in quickly. And they're going to play this one up the left-hand side. Nobody's there except for a green shirt. And there's a whistle. And it looks like there was a handball. So this will go to Seattle. As Jackson Reagan will take this free kick, and now this swings out to the left. Here's Albert Rusnik. We'll lay it off to Newhue down the left-hand side. Here's Rusnik again. And Christian Roldan will have to play this one back. And Yaimar will swing it back to Jackson Reagan. And this will go to Yaimar again off the left-hand side. That ball is going to get played forward. There's just nobody there. Sneaks through the legs. Here's Jordan Morris now in the box at the right-hand side. Oh, and he mishandled it. Good play right there between him and Jesus Ferreira. And Jordan Morris was wide open too, and he just kind of mishandled it a little bit. Here's Morris again. And that's going to take a deflection, and it'll go out. This will be Seattle's first corner. And there's head coach Eric Ramsey of Minnesota United. Can't be pleased that they've already gone down one early. And Seattle is continuing their attacking prowess here early in game 3. 7 minutes and 15 seconds in, Seattle will have their first shot at corner. And it looks like they might play this short. Yeah, they will, between him and Ferreira. Ferreira will put one in. Oh, and it leaks and it's a goal. Danny Bukowski. And that's a goal. And Seattle has now gone up 2 as Minnesota failed to clear it. Holy shit. That had to have been Dugan there that completely missed. Completely missed the clearance. And there was Danny Wazowski right in front of Dane St. Clair to pull this in. As we see this again, here's the short, here's Jesus Ferreira, and Dugan just flat out missed it. I don't think I've ever seen that before. He flat out missed the clearance, and Wazowski was right there to punch it in. Holy shit. And Harry and Nam Kung says, Monkey See, Monkey Do, Minnesota trying to copy PSG. Indeed. Already a goal. No way. Yo. I like it. Unbelievable turn of events here in Minnesota as Seattle has grabbed a 2-goal lead 8 minutes into this one. And we also have a VAR check here as we find out what's going on the pitch here. And are they going to say that this was offside? And it looked like that's kind of interesting here. And by the way, Dugan should be punished for that type of bonehead play, but it's going to be interesting to see if they ruled it. I don't think they're going to rule this one offside. And no, it stands 2-0. After the VAR check, it'll stand 2-0 Seattle as we resume play here. As Dane St. Clair will throw this one up the left-hand side here. That's headed back by Ymar. Eventually, it's going to come down, and Minnesota will hold possession here as Robin Laud now will shoot this over to the right-hand side. And now Diaz will play it down. As Minnesota still tries to play it down the right-hand side here. That's a nice little flip, but Seattle read it all the way. Taken away. Oh, look at Obed Vargas. Plays it now. He's going to have Jesus for a run up the left-hand side. Ferreira's in the box. 1v1. Tries to swing it. Good defense right there by Diaz. It looks like that'll get out. Is that going to be a goal kick? Last touch. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be a goal kick. And as they replay the goal, it looks like Danny Wazowski jumped back onside before that ball actually was delivered. So yeah, this will be a goal kick as Ymar will play it forward. And a good head right there by Jordan Morris. And down comes the ball with Albert Rusnik. And they're going to say that got out. No foul right there against Danny Wazowski. So Minnesota will have possession here. As they try to swing this to the right, it's Diaz. As he's being closely watched by Jesus Ferreira. As they swing this over to Dugan here. And they have to play this back to St. Clair. St. Clair will play this forward down the left-hand side, headed out by Alex Roldan right there, as Rosales was trying to get the inside, and Rosales will play this in, as they're going to have to play this around. Here's Diaz now. That's a good pass inside. Out to the right now. That's a good little tap forward. Here's Lod, as that'll go out for a Minnesota throw in. Good defense right there by Jackson Reagan. Not conceding the corner here, so this will be a throw-in. As the MLS veteran Robin Law there. And again, so we're talking about experience, and these are the type of games that winners know how to close out. And from that standpoint, you can understand how Seattle came into this one, as that one's popped straight up, and there's Stefan Fry off the throw-in. There's something to say about champions, just understanding playoff atmosphere, understanding how to win in the playoffs. As Jackson will swing this back to Stefan Fry, who's going to play this long. Headed straight up by Jordan Morris, and now down to Rusnick. As Seattle will move this ball. Alex Roldan now will play it forward. Tries to tip it. Dimazowski tries to tip it forward, but good defense right there by Bobby Boxall. But look at Jesus Ferreira. Ooh, he nearly took that one away. As that ball goes down the right-hand side. Oh, heads up play by Jackson Reagan. Plays it right off of as he plays it right off of Longwayne right there. As Seattle wins the throw-in. Heads up play right there. As here's Christian Roldan. And that has to go all the way back down to Stephen Fry, who's now going to shoot this one up the left-hand side. Nobody's there except for Longwayne. Good heads-up play, and Seattle now will try to attack forward. Here's Mazowski. Play forward. Here's Jordan Morris. Oh, Jordan, you got to take your momentum forward, Holmes. You got the speed on that, Holmes. Here's Jordan on the right-hand side. Here's Christian Roldan. Nice layup right there. Alex Roldan puts one in. Good clearance right there by Dugan, but Seattle holds it in. Oh, and Jackson misplayed it. Here's Yeboah. And he will fall to the ground. Seattle will actually keep possession. As Yeboah is looking for a whistle, he just spun himself to the turf right there. Seattle will try again. And it's good press right there by Minnesota, as they were almost able to create a turnover. And that was a bad pass right there by Obed Vargas. But he wins the ball back. Here's Christian Roldan flying up the right, Jordan Morris flying up the right-hand side. Here's JMO, lays it off, shoots, and there's Dane St. Clair, as Albert Rusnick was looking for goal number 2 right there. Good layoff right there by Jordan Morris, as he had an in-cutting Albert Rusnick. He went short side instead of the complete open left side of the net right there. As play resumes after the quick whistle. Here's Yeboah now. Good defense right there. And Seattle wins this back as Yeboah tries to win the penalty. No dice. And that tip by Albert Rusnick on the counter will go out, as Jordan Morris could not catch up to it, as he's still on the turf here. As we look at it again. Yeah, sorry, man. Toes collide. That's not a penalty. as Yeboah tried to sell it. Oh, look, he's okay. As we see it again, it looked like both Nuhu and Yeboah went for the same ball as toes collide. And Yeboah is the only one that hit the turf, acting like he got shot in the foot. It does look like there's going to be a VAR check here. And it looks like it's cleared, so play resumes. As Minnesota has possession here. We're in 17 minutes and 15 seconds here in the first half, as they're going to try to play this one long. As Yeboah, and Yeboah is finally going to get a whistle here. And it looks like Ymar is going to get a yellow card, as it looked like him. And I want to say it was Jackson Reagan essentially collided and sandwiched Yeboah as they were trying to go up. So here, it was Alex Roldan. And they're going to say it was an elbow. And he actually didn't hit him in his throat either. It hit him in his chest, but good acting job there, Yeboah. So Ymar gets a yellow. And Minnesota will have a free kick here. I don't understand how soccer players actually look at themselves in the mirror when they flop around like this. I don't know. Anyway, free kick. As Seattle tries to get its wall right. Looks like it'll be Yeboah and Pereira set up for this free kick here. And I'm assuming it's going to be Pereira here. As here's the kick. Gets over the wall. Oh, that's a beautiful free kick, and that's a goal. Beautiful goal right here by Pereira. Off the free kick, beat Stefan Fry. And it's 2-1 as Minnesota comes right back into this one now. Yikes. Good goal by Pereira. And you knew he was coming right to that top corner right there, just out of the reach of the outstretched Stefan Fry. As Minnesota responds, as they get right back into this one, that was just a beautiful free kick. Nothing Stefan Fry can do, as that ball was placed beautifully over the wall. Good location. 2-1 Seattle. As looks like there's going to be a whistle for the ref here. And it'll be a free kick. As looks like the Minnesota drum line is going horse shit up there. As play resumes, as they're going to try to play this one forward. Seattle didn't have a runner. There's Dane St. Clair. Good pressure, though, as that'll go out, as this will be a goal kick here. Good goal for Pereira there. Respect where respect is given right there. Very good. As Dane St. Clair here will take this goal kick. And now he signals everybody to head down pitch, so Seattle does lead 2-1 as we approach the 21st minute. All action so far, as St. Clair will put this one, looks like down the left side, headed down right to Robin Laud, taken away by Christian Roldan, who's going to play this one forward. And it looks like it's going to be Bobby Boxall there, as they're going to play this one down. And that'll head out of bounds for a Minnesota throw-in. As Rosales will play this in. Here's Dugan. As Longwayne as that one gets deflected. So this will be a Seattle throw-in. No, they're going to say Minnesota. As Diaz now will be responsible for this one, as they're going to try to play this one forward. And they're going to have to redo this one. God damn it, the officiating is just so fucking god-awful in this league. As that one goes forward, here's Pereira taken away as Newhue. And there's a whistle right there as Albert Rusnik was taken to the grass right there. Tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, Miami versus Nashville, Game 3 from Chase Field. So here's a free kick, and of course Nashville did a very good job in the second game of that series. This was last week here at Stateside Footy. They did a very good job. As Jackson Reagan now will play it all the way to the right side. Here's Alex Roldan. Roldan's going to play one in, headed away. As Newhue will take possession, and Seattle will reset here. Here's Newhue. You'll find Obed Vargas. Obed's going to play it off to the right. That ball was taken away. Bad pass, but Seattle will hold possession. And now that's taken away as well, too, as Rosales comes in. Good defense by Obed Vargas, and that's semi-cleared. That's going to get out, and I think that's they're going to say goal kick here. 24 minutes in, Seattle holds the possession battle, 57-43. As they reset here with Minnesota in possession. As this ball swept over to Dane Sager, who will shoot this down the left-hand side. And there's not going to be a whistle. As Triandis tried to play one into the box here. Jackson Reagan. And it looks like Yeboah is going to have a shot at net, but I think there was a whistle before this one went down. And they're going to say Seattle ball. As Triandis. I think the whistle is Triandis, but it might have been Robin Ladd right there. Either way, there's a foul against Jackson Reagan, and Reagan's now going to shoot this one up. Headed forward, but right to Albert Rusnik. And bad pass. Bad passing right here. But there is a whistle, and it looks like it's going to go against Pereira. As Alex Roldan will hit the turf, so Pereira gets the yellow card. As we see this again, oh yeah, 100%. He stepped right on the foot of Alex Roldan. That's going to be yellow every time. So it looks like 3 yellows have been issued here in the first 25 minutes. So this will be a free kick. Albert Rusnik will play it in. Initially headed on by Jordan Morris. Cleared out, but Rusnik was right there to deal with it. Here's Newhue, and he's going to have to play this all the way back as Yeboah applied some pressure as this ball is up down to Jordan Morris, who holds it in. Alex Roldan will try to play this forward. It was looking like it was Danny Brzozowski, but he ran in as the ball went right by. And Seattle all of a sudden has gotten sloppy with their passing here. To be fair, so is Minnesota. as Yamar will play this over, trying to get Jordan Morris onto it as Dugan will come away. As that cycles to the right side, here's Diaz. Plays it forward. Here's Elwin. Good way to get through it is now they're going to play this up to Yeboah, but right there is Ymar. Taken away right by Minnesota. Trying to cut in. Taken away by Christian Roldan. Now taken away by Trianis, who puts one in. Save by Stefan Fry. As Minnesota equalized right there, as Trianis had a free look at net. Right from the right elbow right there at the 18-yard box. As Stefan Fry did a very good job. And possession comes back to Minnesota after turnovers. Now all of a sudden, Minnesota is dialing up some pressure. That's a good ball into the box. Cleared away by Ymar. And it falls to Obed Vargas. Here's Jesus Ferreira. As it goes to Albert Rusnik, who plays it out to Nuhu. Nuhu is against the left-hand touchline. Finds Ferreira. Plays it back. And now Obed Vargas will play it back to Stefan Fry. And Seattle sets now off the side. And it gets played back to Stefan Fry as well, too. And it's rolled on. And now it's Jackson Reagan. Let's see what Seattle has dialed up here. As Minnesota's kind of gotten a little comfortable now that we're nearly 30 minutes in. They kind of settled in a little bit after Seattle took a quick 2-goal lead. As Seattle continues to hold the ball here, trying to find a way up. Here's Alex Roldan. And Roldan will play this back to Jackson Reagan. Good pressure by Yeboah. And now Minnesota takes away in the middle of the field. Here's Pereira. Ooh, nearly taken away by Albert Rusnik as that ball pops all the way back to Dugan. As they're going to go all the way down the right-hand side. Here's Elwayne. Plays it forward. Trying to find Diaz. And they're going to call that one against Diaz. So this will be Seattle possession here. Oh, Jackson Reagan sold it. He was the one that tipped Diaz inside the foot. Both go down. Oh, man. That's funny. Yeah, Stefan Fry will play this long. That's headed back. Being chased is Danny Mazovsky. As Diaz will dribble this forward. As they pass it, as they pass their way out of the Seattle press here. And it's Rosales. He finds Pereira. And that ball will shield all the way to the right-hand side, but stepping right in front of it is Nuhu. Here's Obed Vargas. Dribbling forward. Here's Jesus Pereira. Ferreira plays it to the right-hand side. Here's Rusnik. Lays it off to Jordan. Jordan tries to make I don't know if that was a shot or a cross, but either way, it gets deflected. And it looks like that ball goes out for a Minnesota throw-in. I will say that Minnesota has played a lot better in the last 10 to 15 minutes-ish as they've settled into it. They were able to get one back. Seattle still leads 2-1 after a couple of mistakes that led to two quick Seattle goals in the first 10 minutes. Here's Rob Lott on the right-hand side. There's the overlap right there. As Seattle will take this one away. And I don't understand what that was from Obed Vargas, as he just gave away. So Minnesota will set up outside Seattle's box on the left-hand side. Pass in, taken away by Jackson Reagan, as Rusnik will play it all the way to Jesus Ferreira. No penalty as Ferreira got pushed to the ground. Here's Elwayne, plays it in as Trianis gets that poked away. Here's Diaz, who's going to play one in, and that'll go all the way out for a goal kick. As it looks like it took a glance off the head of Rob Lott right there. So this will be a goal kick here for Seattle. As we are 33 minutes in, as we are getting pretty damn close to the end of the first half. Columbus Crew have in Cincinnati. It's like there's a banner. So that is getting close to starting as well, too, that game 3. As Stefan Fry will play this centrally. Tip forward. As Jesus Ferreira got a foot on it, as Danny Zosky tried to chase after it, but Minnesota will hold possession here. As here, that good play by Nuhu. He's going to tap that one out, though. So this will be a Minnesota throw-in. It's nearly taken away by Obed Vargas, but they do swing this over. So now Rosales now pushing down the left-hand side. Pereira's on the overlap. Here's Pereira. 1v1 against Roldan. There's just nothing there for Pereira. Roldan does a good job. As now he tries to swing it in. But right there is Ymar to pop it straight up. As it comes down to Seattle's possession, here's Albert Rusnik making a run. It looks like it's Mazovsky. Here's Rusnik. He's got Jordan Morris on the inside. Swings it over to Jesus Ferreira. Ferreira will play it out to the right. Here's Rusnik popping it up. Ooh. As he had Mazovsky and Jordan Morris right there, but out came Dane St. Clair to make the save, and that's Seattle's first real look at net in an awfully long time. A good 25 minutes. Seattle has completed 83% of its passes to Minnesota 75. 35 minutes in here. As Diaz now will try to play this long. As Jackson Reagan will take that away as he tried to play it long. That's Diaz trying to play it long, so Seattle will have possession again. It feels like this is just back and forth. Gladiator soccer. Here's Roldan. Plays it forward. As Albert Rusnik will come down with it. So Seattle still holds possession. As here's Nuhu. He's got space on the left-hand side. Obed Vargas is running forward. As he hands it off to Rusnik. And now Christian Roldan. As Roldan will hold it just enough. As Seattle tries to set in. as he goes down low left. Here's Jesus Ferreira making a nice run. Here's Rusnik. Rusnik lays it off to Obed. Obed's going to take a shot. That's going to get deflected down. But there's Christian Roldan. Seattle will hold this one in. Here's Jesus Ferreira. Ferreira's going to go into the box, and that's going to be headed out. And this will be another corner for Seattle, and that was Bobby Boxall, who headed it away out of play. As all of a sudden now, Seattle is taking a time and setting up appropriately. And we're actually getting service into the box. As you know, Seattle spent 25 minutes, I guess, trying to be direct. Sloppy in possession. It seems like they've settled down a little bit as they're going to go short. Here's Obed Vargas. Obed. Now he's going to go back post. Jackson Reagan heads it forward. There's Jordan Morris. And Dane St. Clair got a foot on it. Jamo almost put one in. That was an excellent ball to the back post right there. Jordan Morris came around. It looks like he came around. Robin Lott as that ball headed forward. And good goalkeeping right there by Dane St. Clair. And this will be a Minnesota throw-in, as it looked like it might have been Obed Vargas, who made a nice tackle to stop Minnesota from starting their counterattack. Takes the ball back again, and all of a sudden, Seattle starts to flex a little muscle here as we're in minute 38 now. As that ball goes all the way out to Nihu off the left. Here's Jackson Reagan. He's going to have to play this all the way back to Stephon Fry, as Yeboah was right there. And Fry now will play this long up the right-hand side, headed forward as it comes down in Minnesota's possession. As that ball will go out, and it'll be a Minnesota throw-in. As Pereira will quickly throw this into Rosales, as they are up on the left-hand touchline. As this ball swings to the right, but there's Jesus Ferreira right over Diaz. As Minnesota tries to play through Seattle's press, and it looks like they've swung it to the left side quite well. Here's Pereira. Pereira's now going to play one in all the way to the right-hand side. Here's Elwayne. 1v1, tipped away by Nihu. Good defense right there by Seattle, as Diaz will keep it in. Here's Trianis. That ball's going to take a deflection, and that's going to go out for a Minnesota throw-in. Trianis has actually been sneaky good in this match. He always seems to be in a good position off that right-hand side in space. But this will be a Minnesota throw-in here in Seattle territory, as Boxall will throw this one into the box. Headed away by Jesus Ferreira, but held in by Rosales. Here's Boxall. Nice little tip right there by Jesus Ferreira, but Boxall's there to grab it. Here's Rosales. Played forward. Trianis in space puts one on, but right there is Stephon Fry. And there's a red card. As Rosales will get a straight red. As we're going to have to sort this one out. And now all of a sudden there's a scrum between Seattle and Minnesota players here. 41 minutes in, Rosales gets a straight red. And on the ground is Jesus Ferreira. Holy shit. As we look at this again, as both of them are talking, and Rosales just throws his head right into Jesus Ferreira. As the two were going at it, chirping at each other, and it looked like he kind of threw a headbutt. Now, it wasn't necessarily with a lot of force. You know how like two people will put their heads together, except he kind of may have been a little quick with it. And so the ref is giving him a straight red as we see it again. So here's Ferreira. And it all started because he thought Ferreira tripped him. He gets up. Rosales starts to trip him. And then he goes full head into Ferreira's head. And the red card immediately comes out. Ooh. And so now all of a sudden Minnesota will play with 10 men. As we are going to as Jesus Ferreira is fine. And it looks like the Minnesota's head coach is arguing with the side refs. And that's it, yeah. Rosales gets sent off. So Minnesota is now playing down a man. As this took a few minutes here. But man, oh man, oh man. As looks like Temper's got the better results right there. And it looks like the medical staff is checking on Jesus Ferreira, so he'll be out for a few seconds as play is resumed. So both teams are playing with 10 right now until Ferreira comes back. So Minnesota's got possession here. And Jesus Ferreira will check back on to the pitch now as he's been cleared. So Seattle's at full strength. Minnesota has possession here. That's a good ball into Lod. And Seattle deflects it, so that'll get out for a corner for Minnesota. And looks like Minnesota fans are unhappy as a few middle fingers are starting to come out here. Directed towards Jesus Ferreira, but he probably should be a little upset that Rosales lost his temper there. So this will be a corner as Ferreira will take this as that ball goes in, headed away by Ymar. And looks like there is two Seattle Sounders down on the turf here, as it looks like it might be Jackson Reagan. And it looks like Danny Muzovsky, but that being said, as Muzovsky's walking gingerly here, as we look at this again. And it looked like there might have been a collision between the two of them. It looked like Jackson got actually nut checked right there, as he got, hit right in the sweet spot as that ball's taken away. And now Newhugh will fire this one up down to Dugan. As there'll be 7 minutes of stoppage time here at the end of the first half. As that ball will go out and it'll be a Seattle throw. Seattle's playing a man up here. For those that are tuning in, Seattle took a 2-goal lead within the first 10 minutes. Minnesota gets one back And literally 2 minutes ago, Rosales gets sent off with a straight red for a headbutt. And now there's a whistle, so this will be a Seattle free kick as Trianis will be called for the foul there. As Ring will forward. Headed down, but right to Jesus Ferreira. Tipped away, but there's Christian Roldan. Here's Obed Vargas. That's taken away. And Christian Roldan takes it away from Pereira. Here's Nuhu. Across the midline. Here's Nuhu. Plays it forward. He's got Jordan Morris. Lays it off to Nuhu again. And he can't do anything. And here comes Diaz now. That's tipped out by Obed Vargas. And so this is just a game of sloppy possession here. Here's Jesus Ferreira. As Christian Roldan will send this back to Jackson Reagan. Here's Yaimar. Yaimar will play it up the right. Here's Alex Roldan. Roldan's going to play it centrally. Tip forward by Muzoski around the corner. Trying to find Albert Rusnik. Good defense right there by Minnesota. Held in by Seattle here. Lays it off. There's a shot. Ooh, goes over the bar. It was Obed Vargas in space, trying to put one into the top corner right there. Had a little too much, got under it a little too much, right over the crossbar. As we are now in the 48th minute, another four more minutes of stoppage time here. As Minnesota is now playing down a man, so I would probably assume that this is going to play out to Seattle's advantage for the rest of this match. Already up one. As Dane St. Clair will take this goal kick and play it deep. And there it goes. Down the left-hand side, headed between two, and now Seattle will play this forward. Headed up. Here's Obed Vargas. And that ball's going to get tipped. And it's Jesus Ferreira who will give Seattle possession here. As Nuhu plays it back to Jackson Reagan. Seattle will set up here. There's Christian Roldan. Off to Obed Vargas on the left-hand side. Obed tips it back to Nuhu, and we'll start this circle all over again. Oh, and Obed Vargas. That pass right there is so Minnesota now has possession. Another, listen, man, Obed, I like Obed, Mexican national, but today has not really been his best day. Not exactly clinical in possession. As Minnesota will have possession down the right-hand side. Here's Robin Laud. As Obed Vargas will catch up to him. And Will Trapp will send this over to Pereira off the right-hand side. That ball's going to go in. And right there is Jackson Reagan. So that ball will get out for a corner here. As we approach the 50th minute now. As Pereira will take yet another corner. And, of course, the wind is blowing out against Pereira here, this side of the pitch. And he's the right corner here. As that ball will go in. It goes short, headed straight up. And Christian Roldan tries to wait to clear it. But here's Jordan Morris, and Jordan Morris is racing. And yeah, that's going to be a yellow card right there against Boxall. Yeah, there's some shouting here. And now Boxall will take yellow to stop. And it looks like Seattle's clamoring for another red. As that 100% was a late tackle on Jordan Morris. wasn't going for the ball. They have absolutely have a case of red, as he wasn't going for the ball. It was late. He was going for the legs off a break. And it looks like Minnesota just got themselves another break right there, because that easily could have been a red. And Jesus Ferreira, absolutely. They got a case here, so this will be a free kick, as Stefan Fry will be responsible for this one, as we're approaching the 52nd minute now, as that ball will go to the left-hand side. Headed down. There's Newhue to take it away. Newhue. And that will be the whistle for the end of the first half. So fireworks in Minnesota for this first half, as we welcome Crest 11 Football, who says, good afternoon, Footy. Good afternoon, my guy. Hopefully you're doing well. And then, of course, we have Adrian from Spurs Diehards TTID, who says, good evening, Steven. I hope you're doing well, Adrian. Quick reminder for everyone to make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons, and also hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming content for Stateside Footy. All right, let's go ahead and get into the stats of today's match, as it is 2-1. Seattle leads the possession battle 58-42. They also lead the XG battle 1.34 to 0.12. Total shots, Seattle 6, Minnesota 4. 6 of those are on target to Minnesota's 3. Seattle's had 3 big chances to Minnesota's 0. Accurate passes, Seattle 224, Minnesota 147. Fouls committed, Minnesota 9, Seattle 2. And, of course, the corner battle is even 2-2. Again, Seattle leads the shot battle 6-4. 4 of those were on target. Shots inside the box, Seattle's gotten 4 of those 6 inside the box to Minnesota's 2. Both have 2 shots apiece outside the box. Passing total, Seattle 271, Minnesota 197. Passes in the own half, Seattle 97, Minnesota 81. Passes in the opposition half, 127-66, Seattle. Accurate long balls, Seattle 13, Minnesota 6. Accurate crosses, Minnesota 2, Seattle 0. Minnesota also has 13 throws to Seattle 6. Touches in the opposition box, Seattle 13, Minnesota 13. As we go to defense, Seattle leads the tackle battle 10-3. Interceptions, Seattle 11, Minnesota 5. Clearances, Seattle 13, Minnesota 8. And, of course, keeper saves is 2-2. Duels, Seattle 22-15 total. Ground duels 1, Seattle 18, Minnesota 9. Aerial duels 6-4, Minnesota. And successful dribbles 4-0 to Minnesota. And, of course, yellow card, Seattle has 1. That went to Ymar. And, of course, Minnesota has 2. And, of course, they had the red card right before the end of the first half, which completely changed the trajectory of this game. But Seattle does lead 2-1. Goals, by the way, by Albert Rusnik and, of course, Danny Mazovsky. And Pereira got one on a free kick in the 19th minute. So that is where we stand. As we look around Major League Soccer really quick, and it looks like NYCFC advances with a 3-1 victory over Charlotte. And later today at 6 o'clock, in about an hour, FC Cincinnati kicks off against the Columbus Crew. At 8 o'clock, Inter Miami will host Nashville in Game 3. And, of course, at 9 o'clock, San Diego FC will host the Portland Timbers. And that will conclude the first round of the MLS playoffs. Just a quick look at the USL. Yeah, let's find out. I don't know how I did it, but for whatever reason, I had my browser linked to Yahoo for some reason. All right, so as we're looking at the round of 16, it looks like Rhode Island advanced over the Charleston Battery, who picked up a red card in that one. And it looked like that went to penalties as Rhode Island beat the Charleston Battery 3-5 on penalties to advance. And it looks like Orange County also advances after that one went to penalties. And Orange County won that 5-4 in penalties as the Sacramento Republic goes out. It looks like the Pittsburgh Riverhounds also advanced over Hartford as they won 4-2 on penalties. Detroit City FC beat Lou City 1-0. Let's go Detroit. North Carolina beat Loudoun FC 1-0. Tulsa beat Colorado Springs 1-0. New Mexico beat San Antonio FC 2-0. And Phoenix beat El Paso 1-0 as well, too. As we look at the upcoming schedule here, so it looks like Rhode Island, Nate's team, Rhode Island FC, will play, and it looks like tonight, as a matter of fact, at 7:00, we'll play North Carolina FC. Detroit will play the Pittsburgh Riverhounds at 7:30. At 8:00, Phoenix will play Tulsa, and New Mexico will play Orange County. So that is your slate and your lineup for the USL Championship. What team has impressed me the most in the first round? That's a great question. I would like, here's the interesting thing, though, and it seems kind of weird in the Western Conference. So I would think Vancouver. Vancouver, after dusting Dallas in the first game, in that second game, it looked like Dallas was. Dallas looked like they had control of that before it ultimately didn't. And Vancouver ends up taking that one late. So I would think Vancouver in the Western Conference. San Diego has looked somewhat impressive. Seattle, I guess not really. But that being said, it's like and it's the same thing in the Eastern Conference. I would say in the Eastern Conference, Philadelphia so far has been impressive. Same thing with NYCFC. It's going to be interesting to see tonight because that's to me is going to be the kicker, right? A part of me thinks that Nashville might be able to do it. They did something in game 2, which Seattle was able to do in the League Cup final, which is figure out a way to take Leo Messi out of it a little bit. I feel the interesting thing with Miami is like if you can neutralize Messi for a good portion of the game, you have a chance with everybody else, right? And so that from that standpoint, I thought they did a very good job. Except even in that win in that game too, Jordi Alba still was super impressive, and he was actually kind of dangerous. But that being said, the way that Miami likes to attack, they like to be direct, they like to play centrally, and Messi's a big part of that. And so from that standpoint, like if you can figure out a way just to keep him marked, you have a pretty good shot. And I thought Nashville looked pretty good in that game too. So that one's going to be interesting tonight as well too. But I think for me at least, I would say Philadelphia and Vancouver to answer your question. Like I feel like that has been pretty good. Columbus gets bombed in the first game. They come back and they do a good job in the second game. Same thing with Portland. Yeah, I would probably think Vancouver and Philly. Yeah, Vancouver and Philly have been pretty good. As we, as we are going to get you guys prepared for the second half of this one. The interesting thing there is, Seattle, I will say that Seattle looked good towards the end of that second half. There was a good stretch there after those 2 goals that Seattle just kind of got a little complacent there. They started getting incredibly sloppy. So it was nice to see Seattle kind of settle down there. But of course, Minnesota, the big the big thing with Minnesota was the red card. And it looked like emotions got the better of Rosales right there. Both of those guys have been both him and Jesus Ferreira, had been chirping at each other. And I can understand why Rosales got hot under the collar right there, because he felt like maybe Jesus tripped him from behind. But that being said, it's like, fair exchange is no robbery when Ferreira tried to do it again. The only difference is that, Ferreira just looked down and at the ground and just started going at him, just started chirping at him. And, Rosales gets up and does the headbutt right there. And of course that's always going to, bring out a red. From that standpoint, I will say that this first half was, I guess you could say it was decently reffed. I'm not going to sit here and say that, the reffing has been absolutely brilliant in this game, but at least from the standpoint of not allowing, that shithousery that happens in almost every single MLS match where, essentially allowing body checks and players to wrestle each other down to the ground. At least this referee has set the tone that there's not going to be that type of shithousery in this game. And so from that standpoint, it's been going both ways, right? Ymar picks up the yellow for an elbow check into the chest, so he gets the yellow card. And of course, Bobby Boxall will take a yellow right at the end of the half for Minnesota, in which I actually thought was kind of a red, considering that he wasn't playing the ball. He was literally just playing the feet of Jordan Morris. And that probably should have been a red. But from that standpoint, I will say that I will give this ref props because he has drawn a line in the sand of, I guess you can say, a roughhousery. So from that standpoint, I'm okay with that because that's the way it should be played. But that being said, it's like, this right now is going to be, the second half is going to be, who's gonna score first in the second half and how quickly are they going to do it? Obviously, from a man advantage standpoint, you would probably assume Seattle. But that being said, it's like for a good stretch of that first half, Seattle was just absolutely complacent and sloppy. And that has me a little worried because Minnesota has shown the ability to get down on the counterattack and get down quick. And Trianis was absolutely brilliant in that first half on that right-hand side in space, putting shots on at Stephen Fry. Now, from that standpoint, it's like what worries me is like from that counterattacking standpoint, you're going to see, you're wondering whether or not Will Trapp is going to put himself in a position to make those passes to the outside, whether or not that's going to free up a Pereira or a guy like Trianis, and all of a sudden this game is going to get equalized when Seattle should be in a position to run away with this one. So we'll see exactly how this one plays out. But statistically speaking, Seattle, you can see exactly where Seattle has played most of the first half, which is in Minnesota's territory. And I'd like to think that good things happen when stuff like that happens. So we'll see, man. We'll definitely see. But that being said, we're getting pretty close here in the here at halftime as we're getting ready for the start of second half, as we're watching a dopey Audi commercial here. Audi sucks. Audi sucks. All right, so we're still waiting on this one. All right, so I'm curious to know how you guys felt about this first half. Let me know. Let me know what you feel about Minnesota's performance in this first half. I thought we'd see a lot of bunker encounter. They've actually done a pretty good job getting forward. At times when they did get forward, it looked like for a while there in the first half they were kind of the aggressor. Seattle had a hard time in the link-up play. They couldn't string two passes together. Or when they did try to get forward, unfortunately, maybe trying a little too hard to get Jordan Morris on the ball up that right-hand side. and unfortunately was just giving the ball away. I thought, by the way, Obed Vargas did not have a good first half at all. And, his mismanagement of the ball from that standpoint, I got to say, not all. So just quickly, there's a graphic on screen here. Man of the match against Tajikistan. The U.S. men's team U-73s. It looks like Captain Sullivan got the man of the match on that one. So that's kind of cool. So we are about to start the second half, and there is Minnesota. And Seattle will hold possession here to start the second half, as it looks like the Sounders are ready to go. It looks like the Minnesota faithful. Hey, what do you know? They all look the same. All the dudes look the same. Beards and beanies. What do you know? Reminds me of Seattle. All right, so we're about ready to start this one. Seattle will have possession to begin the second half. As that chick looks kind of scary. Black lipstick. Yikes. Seattle will be playing from left to right. And, of course, they will hold possession as we are almost ready to go here. It doesn't look like Seattle has made any changes at the half, and we are underway as Jackson Reagan will play this to the right-hand side. And here's Alex Roldan as he is being closed down by two, Pereira and Yapoa. But Ymar now will play this long, trying to target out Jordan Morris, but instead it was Dugan. As that ball gets played out, so this will be a Seattle throw-in. And it'll be Alex Roldan. As it looks like the temperature has dropped into, 29 degrees at the Allianz here in beautiful downtown Minneapolis. As that ball gets played in, and Minnesota now will have possession. Is getting clear. We'll shoot this one up. Pereira tries to head it on forward, but right there is Jackson Reagan. So here comes Seattle. And it's Alex Roldan off the right-hand side. And Roldan's going to play this one back to Ymar. And Ymar will play it all the way back to Stephon Fry. And Fry will chip it to Newhue. And it looked like Jesus Ferreira tried to chip it on, but it was taken away by Minnesota. And there's a whistle on Pereira right there by Jordan Morris. So Minnesota will have a free kick in a deadly area here. And this is not how you want to start the second half if you're Seattle, knowing that Pereira, has already scored off a free kick from the same distance. And of course, Minnesota's down a man. The last thing you want to do in this situation is allow Minnesota to get into this one. I will say that Seattle has done a good job defending the run play. Obviously, Minnesota's lone goal coming off a set piece. So they have done a good job of not leaking goals. But that being said, the last thing you want to do is allow Minnesota to equalize here. And so Yapoa now will move into the line. So this will be Pereira. And Pereira, that ball's going to get blocked. And it looks like Diaz is going to chip this one in. Cleared out by Ymar. And there's going to be a foul. And it looks like this thing is going to go against Minnesota. As of right now, according to DraftKings, the win probability, Seattle has a 79.4% chance of winning. As we are now in minute 48, as we played a few minutes here, as that ball will get headed back and out. So this will be a Seattle throw-in, as Seattle has taking a little time to kind of get into their second half groove here. Minnesota has been the aggressor early here in the second half. Here's Jackson Reagan as he's going to play this out to Nihu off the left-hand side. And Nihu will play this one back. And there's a switch again to the left-hand side from Yanmar. And here's Obed Vargas as Vargas. And he's going to play this one back to Jack Reagan now. As Reagan will play it all the way down to Alex Roldan, who's going to try to tip it in. Right there is Jesus Ferreira. Here's Ferreira playing it off to the left. Here's Nihu. Oh, and Nihu tried to play it in. And unfortunately, it looked like a couple of guys were caught ball watching. Obed Vargas and Jordan Morris. As we see this again, as that ball got tipped to Jesus Ferreira, who laid it off, and it was Nihu who came in, and he played it in as Obed Vargas. Looked like he overran it, but it did get tipped out by a Minnesota defender. So this will be a corner here for Seattle as we're approaching the 50th minute now. Here's Jesus Ferreira. Ooh! Ooh, and it looked like Christian Roldan got a toe on it and nearly scored. As it looks like there's going to be a free kick here. Interesting. As Jesus Ferreira put one in, and it did look like Christian Roldan got a toe on it, but that thing was blocked. As this ball come down in Seattle's possession here. Here's Nihu running around the corner, trying to play it forward. And here's Danny Mazovsky now. Mazovsky's been trying to crash the box. He'll hold up as he will play this over. There's Pereira who tips it in, but right there is Jordan Morris. And it looks like Boxall will try to clear it. Here's Yeboah versus Alex Roldan. Tipped away by Roldan. Reclaimed by Yeboah. Now Minnesota will have possession here as they try to slow it down. As that ball gets witched, here's Will Trapp. He passes it forward to Ladd. And he's going to play this one back to Mr. Boxall. Here's Dugan. And he's got to play it back to Boxall. And now it's Diaz. As they swing this one down to the left-hand side. And, of course, Minnesota now switched it to the right-hand side. Here's Will Trapp. Here's Longwayne. And he's going to play this one back to Boxall. So Minnesota resets here. And now Jordan Morris gives good chase to Dugan. And now Dane St. Clair has to play this in a rush. Tip forward right there is Jack Reagan. And so will hold possession. Here's Obed. He will lay this off to Roldan. And Alex Roldan will play this right back to Yanmar. And it's Christian Roldan. And Christian will swing it up to the left where he finds Nihu all alone. As he had Jesus Ferreira right there cutting down to the left-hand corner. And Christian Roldan will hold possession. Good footwork by Christian. As that ball swings out up to Jesus Ferreira in the box. Here's Roldan. Roldan. Oh, and Rusnik just pings one off the post. Oh, Albert Rusnik was wide open and he shoots it off the post. Seattle had a rebound, but Dane St. Clair was right there. Oh, and Albert Rusnik missed the opportunity to put this team up 3-1. He was wide open as Christian Roldan was all alone in the box, played it back, and Rusnik was right there. And he just missed it off the post. Good ball movement by Seattle to work it into an area to have an open shooter. Here's Jesus Ferreira. Ferreira will go to the right-hand side. Alex Roldan is wide open. Roldan into the box. So and he tried to play it forward as Jordan Morris was crashing in. And Jordan couldn't catch up with it. As Alex Roldan was wide open. As he had two, actually, it was Danny Mazoski who missed it first, and Jordan Morris missed it second. As that ball had some pace on it. As Triantis now will try to work into the midfield. That ball's taken away. And they're going to blow a whistle here. As we're approaching the 55th minute here. As Minnesota has possession here on the left-hand side. As Dugan will play this back to Boxall. As Seattle's closing down a little bit. And they're going to have to play this back to Dane St. Clair. As St. Clair will now play it to the left-hand side. That's going to get over the head. Slightly get over the head of Dugan, who does manage to get a head on it, but it goes out of bounds. So Seattle will have a throw in here. As Seattle now feels like they have got their footing here in the second half. And it looks like Minnesota is set to make some changes here. As Alex Roldan will play this forward. As Mazovsky loses possession here. Taken away by Seattle. And there's a quick whistle that gets blown. And it looks like Alex Roldan might have pushed Triantis in the back right there. As we will find out. Who Minnesota will have subbed in. It looks like Paul Rothrock is getting ready for Seattle. As Ymar will head this out. Looks like Boxall will be responsible for the throw in here. And it looks like he's going to go to the long throw here. As Will Trapp is playing the short. And here's Pereira. And this goes all the way. It's a long way in here. As he's going to try to float one in. Off the head. View. Clear it. Held in by Diaz. Here's Will Trapp. As you play this in to Yeboah. That's going to be tipped. And they'll go away back to Stump right now. And he rolls it to right-hand side with Ymar. And Ymar is going to make the switch to the left-hand side. Finds Ferreira. But it ends up at Niuhu. Ferreira's on the overlap. As Niuhu will hold up and find Obed Vargas. As Niuhu will go down to Jesus Ferreira off the left-hand side. Ferreira cuts in. Lays it off to Christian Roldan. Christian Roldan will shot, and it goes wide. Wide to the right there. And it looks like Markanich is going to check in for Yeboah here. For Minnesota. Here in the 58th minute. So Minnesota takes off its primary 9. for the youngster Mark Hanich. As Yeboah comes to the sidelines, as this will be a possession to Minnesota. And St. Clair will play this long here, as that's going to go down the left-hand side. There's Jordan Morris, who heads it all the way back, only to find Dugan, who's going to play this one back to St. Clair. Giving chase is Albert Rusnick. And now they'll go a little centrally as that ball comes down. Christian Roldan will tip it back to Nuhu. And Nuhu will play it back to Stephon Fry. Minnesota chasing here. And Fry will play it long, but there's Dugan. Tip forward by Jordan Morris. And Seattle now will have the ball in the front foot. Here's Jesus Ferreira off the left-hand side. Ferreira cuts inside, shoots. And that's deflected. And there's going to be a whistle against Obed Vargas. And it looks like, I don't know. So here comes Paul Rothrock now. And Danny Mazowski will come off for Seattle. So that would probably make Paul Rothrock on the right-hand side, as Jordan Morris now will play direct as the target line. Or Jesus Ferreira will swing to the right, and Rothrock will play on the left. Either way, Jordan Morris is going to be playing up top. As Dane St. Clair will take this on. Tipped away. Here's Rothrock 1v1 against Pereira. Now it's on. That ball gets out. And it'll be a Minnesota throw-in. As Boxall again will throw it in. Here's Pereira. As Boxall will try to put one in. Tip to the back. Oh, and Minnesota just scored. And it's Diaz with the header. And Minnesota is equalized. Down a man. Minnesota equalized. As Seattle got caught napping at the back post. That miss by Albert Rusnick is really coming back by Seattle. As in the 61st minute, Minnesota equalizes as Boxall played it in quickly. And he puts in the cross. It gets tipped to the back post, and there was Diaz. And Obed Vargas was responsible for marking him. As that's a shame, too. Oh. So this match is all even at 2 in the 62nd minute. So we'll see what Seattle can do to respond here. Here's Christian Roldan. That's tipped away. And Minnesota comes away with possession. Here's Pereira. Plays it down. Looks like it's Mark Hanich. No whistle. Here's Jesus Ferreira down the right-hand side, trying to get Jordan Morris on it. There's nobody there. Comes away with Bobby Boxall. Will Trapp will go inside. Here's Trianis. Lays it off to Diaz. Seattle's going to press here. Nearly taken away right there by Alex Roldan. Kept in possession by Minnesota. And Pereira will play one forward. Oh, Beats two men. Oh, and Robin Laud skied it. Oh, Seattle is lucky. And all of a sudden, Minnesota's come to life here. Getting the equalizer after Seattle nearly doubled their lead again off a miss by Albert Rusnick off the post. And we'll see what Seattle can do to respond. Here's Ymar. And we'll play it all the way in. Here's Albert Rusnick. Christian Roldan plays it forward. Tip forward. Oh. Here's Rusnick. And Seattle will hold in. Off the left-hand side. Here's Nuhu. Dribbles to the back post. Taken down by Alex Roldan. Held in. Here's Jackson Reagan. They will go to the right-hand side. Here's Albert Rusnick. Tried to play it forward to Rothrock, but there's Alex Roldan. And Seattle will hold it in. Here's Paul Rothrock. That's going to take a deflection and it'll go out. Good defense right there by Markanich. Still plenty of football left to play as we're approaching the 65th minute. So Seattle will have a throw in here off the right-hand side, and it'll be Alex Roldan. And Roldan will throw this one in. Tip back. Right there is Jackson Reagan. That gets deflected. Here's Alex Roldan in the box. Now that'll get cleared. And they'll say this one is out of play. As credit Minnesota, they work their way back to a 2-2 draw here as we're in the 65th minute. So this will be a throw-in for Seattle. Here's Alex. And that's going to get played out again. As again, Seattle does have a tendency to leak goals, and that has bitten Seattle in the ass here in the second half. As Alex Roldan will do this again, headed down. As that'll go all the way back to Pereira. We'll try to shoot it forward. As it comes down to Robin Laud. And Minnesota now down a man has looked to be the aggressor here in the second half. And you wonder if Seattle's lost its composure. Here's Longwayne trying to play it forward. Try to clear. But Ymar plays it right back Longwayne. Here's Diaz. Here's Trianis. Tipped away by Seattle. And Christian Roldan will come away with this. And there's a foul. And a yellow card against Diaz as Christian Roldan was tackled to the turf there. As this one all of a sudden has gotten very aggressive. As that sliding tackle in on Christian Roldan, yeah, that's going to be a yellow card. Every single time. So Diaz will get the yellow. And play will resume. Here's Nuhu. And it's Albert Rusnick. Here's Ymar. Christian Roldan will tip it forward. Back to Roldan. As this gets played out. Here's Ymar. Chipped in. And now it's cleared. As as that ball gets played back to Dane St. Clair, who will finally clear this one. Tip forward by Ymar. And there's a whistle. So Minnesota will have possession here, as St. Clair will be responsible for this free kick. As Joaquin Pereira leads touches for both sides with 50, as Albert Rusnick leads Seattle with 40. But man, credit Minnesota. After going down 2-0, they fought their way back into this one. As Dane St. Clair will go to the left-hand side. Here's Paul Rothrock against Laud. And they're going to say that this one is not a foul and it goes out, so this will be a Minnesota throw-in. So again, Boxall will be responsible for the ball front, as that ball will go into the box, headed forward by Morris. Trianis will keep it in. Boxall again to the back post, headed forward. And that's going to be headed out by Jackson Reagan, but kept in. Oh, and Trianis. That shot gets deflected. As looks like Roldan took a knock there. As Will Trapp. It looks like Will Trapp goes down, falls on Roldan. As Trianis, as that ball moved forward, Trianis gets on it. But Ymar with heads play. That ball gets deployed. This will be a Minnesota quarter here as we are in the Senate. Herrera swings this one in. Back post. Oh, what a goal. What a goal by Markanich. Unbelievable. Unmarked at the back post. And Minnesota, down a man, has scored 2 goals to take a 3-2 lead. Unbelievable. Unbelievable turn of events here as Minnesota has answered. And again, that miss by Albert Rusnick has been costly for Seattle. If they go up 3-1, this thing is virtually over. But you give Minnesota an opportunity to get back in. God damn it, they've been oppressed in the second half, and Markanich was unmarked at the back post. As Stefan Fry had no shot at saving it. Good goal right there for Markanich. And now Minnesota has grabbed the lead. Oh, I can't turn it to the screen, my guy. So unfortunately, Seattle now finds itself down 3-2. And it looks like Seattle's going to make some changes. It looks like Kent and Ozazi De Rosario look like they're going to be up. As this swings out to Ymar, who has to play it back to Jackson Reagan. And this one will go to Stefan Fry. As Seattle is about 20 minutes away from elimination. Here's Reagan. Here's Christian Don as he plays this one out to the left-hand side. Here's Niu. Rothrock cut in. That's a good ball into Rothrock. As they will say, goal kick. Good defense right there by Diaz. Good ball in for Rothrock. Good idea right there. As it looks like Jordan Kent's going to check in for Jesus Ferreira. And it looks like Yaimar's coming off. And so Seattle will bring on an extra attacker. So it looks like Ryan, so it's going to be what? Yaimar for De Rosario, and it looks like it'll be Kent for Ferreira. As Brian Schmetzer is looking for attackers. And yeah, there's going to be a whistle right there, as it looks like Paul Rothrock was absolutely tripped coming to get that ball right there. What does Seattle have left? Here's Alex Roldan. Here's Albert Rusnik. As this ball gets moved to the left-hand side, here's Kent. Kent beats his man to that ball goes all the way over. As Kent did beat his man, but that being said, as Alex Roldan beats Lod to the ball, so Seattle will hold possession. But that cross by Kent went completely over the entire 6-yard box, as Jordan Morris was at the back post, but that completely cleared it. So here's Obed Vargas. Here's Kent. Here's Nuhu off the left-hand side. And they'll go back to Nuhu, 1v1. And they're going to have to try this again. Here's Jackson Reagan into the box. Oh. And Ozazi got on the end of it. It just goes right over the crossbar. Seattle has 15 minutes to find the equalizer. Good movement in right there. Very good movement. As this will be a goal kick. Seattle got into a dangerous position right there. Dangerous area, but Ozazi's got to do a better job. As St. Clair will play this one into a central area. As that's ball's taken away by Christian Roldan. So here comes Seattle again. As it'll go to Kent. As that goes centrally into Christian Roldan. All the way to the right-hand side. Here's Rothrock. Rothrock is going to get one in. Head on. Roldan. Oh, and Roldan puts one on, but right at Dane St. Clair. Oh, and now all of a sudden Seattle's attacking the net. Good ball in by Rothrock. Tipped ahead by Albert Rusnik, but it was cleared. And Christian Roldan puts one on, but right at Dane St. Clair. And here comes Seattle again. Here's Ozazi. That's going to get played out, and it'll be a Seattle throw-in. Seattle's moving with intention here. As there's the switch to the left-hand side. Didn't necessarily make it, as that will go out. As Kent will play it in. Here's Rusnik. Oh, and that's tipped away. Here comes Minnesota now. Plays it forward. But here's Obed Vargas. And Seattle will control possession. Here's Albert Rusnik. He's got men attacking down the left-hand side. Here's Newhugh. Kent with the overlap. Here's Obed Vargas. Here's Albert Rusnik. Obed. Alex Roldan. Back to Kent on the left-hand side. And Seattle's looking for an opening. As Minnesota now has essentially bunkered into the box. Here's Kent. As Kent trips over the ball. Here comes Minnesota on the break. That's a good ball forward. Newhugh will chase. And he clears it back to Stefan Fry, so we'll try again. As we're now approaching the 80th minute, it's 78-48. Here comes Seattle now. It's Kent. Now it's Albert Rusnik. As that ball's tipped away. And they're going to say Minnesota ball. As Diaz tries to sell it. And it looks like they're going to waste time here, as Dane St. Clair is going to sit on the ground as they play up the act here, trying to waste as much time as they possibly can. If Minnesota holds on, this is going to be an unbelievable turn of events here. Seattle coughed away a victory that looked for a long period of time like they were going to hold on. But once Albert Rusnik missed that goal, it's all been downhill as Minnesota scored 2 goals in succession to take a 3-2 lead, as we are 10 minutes away, as Dane St. Clair is up. That should have been an automatic yellow. Obviously, he's wasting time. As we look at the shots, looks like Triantis and Robin Ladd both have 3. Same thing with Roldan and Rusnak. As Obed Vargas also has 2 shots as well, too. So 10 minutes to play. As Dane St. Clair will take this free kick. As that ball will go up the right-hand side, and forward. As Longwayne taken away by Newhugh. And Seattle will have possession here. Here's Stefan Fry. Fry is going to play this up. Direct, headed forward by Will Trapp. But it'll come down to Obed Vargas. Here's Rothrock. And there's going to be a foul right there. And it looks like Markanich was responsible. So Seattle starts the reset as this goes to the left-hand side. Here's Kent. As that ball goes in, headed to the other side of the box by Rothrock, pops straight in the air. And Diaz will try to head this out, but then Christian Roldan lays out to Alex. Seattle will reset, being chased by Robin Ladd here. Jackson Reagan will swing it out to the left. Kent 1v1 against Longwayne. Kent. Oh, gets dispossessed right there between him and Will Trapp. As that ball goes forward, held in right there by Newhugh. And that ball gets out, and it'll be a Minnesota throw-in. So we're now at minute 82. And Will Trapp and Newhugh are having words. Looks like Dotson and Harvey will check in for Minnesota. So Diaz will come off. And it looks like it'll be Harvey for Diaz and Harvey for Lod, Dotson for Diaz. As we are 7 minutes away, plus stoppage time. So it looks like Harvey's in for Robin Lod here, as this will be a Minnesota throw-in. As that throw-in will go back, Jackson Reagan will head it forward. As that'll come down to Christian O'Donnell. As Seattle now will press forward. As we're now approaching the 84th minute. Here's Kent. Lays it off to Obed. Obed. As Nuhu will play one in. Headed forward and over. As that was Obed Vargas. As we're approaching the 85th minute now. 30 seconds. And we got 5 minutes left. Dane St. Clair will handle. As St. Clair will play this forward. Headed away. Christian Roldan's there. And that'll be deflected off. So Roldan play this in off the throw-in. Can Seattle find an equalizer here? Here's Alex Roldan. Play it off to Rothrock, and automatically it comes right back to Roldan. That's Minnesota did a good job. Here's New. Over to Kent. Kent's going to play one in. Headed up. Seattle will hold possession. Here's Nuhu. Over to Kent. That ball was not a good ball. Taken away by Minnesota. And they will clear it. It'll be Paul Rothrock. As we are approaching now the 86th minute, so time continues to tick. And Seattle tries to attack down this left-hand side. Here's Obed. Here's Kent. Kent will do it again. Into the box. Rothrock. Kent plays it to the back post. Here's Brusnick. That takes a deflection. Ooh! Alex Roldan put one on. Save by Dane St. Clair. As this one will get out for a corner. As looks like Rusnick tried to take a shot as Alex Roldan came in. That was a good save by Dane St. Clair, but Seattle worked a corner. It'll be Albert Rusnick. That ball swings in. Short. Tipped. Goal! Jordan Morris equalizes in the 87th minute. Jordan Morris. And Seattle is pulled even. In the 87th minute. As we see it again. That got tipped forward to Jordan by Christian Roldan. Beautiful flick, and Jordan with the finish right there. What a goal. Seattle has drawn even. Yes. What a finish right there by Jordan. As it quickly resumes here, as Seattle, as Minnesota pinned back, that's going to take a deflection. And it looks like Georgie Monongo has checked in for Seattle. As we are now in the 89th minute, and it looks like Andrew Thomas has taken over for Stefan Fry. And Georgie Monongo on for Newhue. So Andrew Thomas for a reason, because then just a short amount of time, chances are we'll go to a shootout. As that's going to be headed down. Here's Albert Rusnik. Christian Roldan. Can Seattle find a winner here? Here's Alex. Lays it back. And Seattle now will have possession all the way to the left-hand side. Here's Jordan. Here's Kent. Cuts. Again. Plays it in. Headed away. As Seattle pokes that away. Here's Obed Vargas now. Dribbling center. Lays it off. Here's Kent again. And he tried to play one in. Oh! Yes, that ball will fly as Paul Rothrock was right there off the left-hand side to play one in. So now we're in the 90th minute. 8 minutes to go. Can Seattle find a winner? Shit, can Minnesota find a winner? If it's tied after a regulation, if it's tied at the end of regulation, we go straight to shootout. Insane of this goal kick here. Jordan Morris. Equalizer. As that ball is headed forward. Right there is Jackson Reagan. And that's going to take a deflection. So Seattle will have a throw in. So we have 7 minutes. As Jackson Reagan will play this to the left-hand side. All the way out to Kent off the left. Against Longwayne. And he'll stop. And, oh, that good deflection right there. As it looked like Rusnik was trying to play a cross in. Headed forward, tipped forward by Christian Roldan. Obed tried to play it up. There was nobody there. So that'll be a throw-in for Minnesota as we approach the 92nd minute now. 6 minutes to play. Minnesota still down a man. As Seattle has kind of taken advantage of that fact in the closing minutes here. We're able to be in a dangerous position to get the equalizer. As Minnesota will try to throw this long. But right there is Rothrock. Tip forward. Ozazi. And Seattle will hold possession here. Here's Paul Rothrock. And that's going to get played all the way back to Alex Roldan now. Here's Paul Rothrock now. And we'll find Christian Roldan. And they will find Kent. Kent's going to swing this centrally to Obed Vargas. Here's Alex Roldan. Play it out right. Here's Georgie Monongo. Georgie. Here's Monongo again off the right-hand side. 2v1. And here's Alex Post. Oh. And it looked like Ozazi might have been there. De Rosario. This will be a short corner. Here's Monongo. As they're going to have to restart this one again. As nobody was set. As Seattle was trying to sneak one real quick. So now they'll replay this one again. Here's Monongo. Georgie plays it to the top. Here's Rusnik. Here's Georgie. Good pass. Christian Roldan will get one in. Oh. Look at Albert Rusnik. Tips it off. And they're going to say, yeah, that was a handball right there. As we've reached the 94th minute. As Pereira's wasting time. Yeah, that's kind of smart. You figured Minnesota would play that shit. Yes, Monongo, that was clear handball right there. As St. Clair now will kick this long. As that's going to get over the head. Tip forward. As Alex Roldan, that's a whistle right there, as Alex Roldan was absolutely hammered by Pereira. And Seattle will restart. '95th minute now, 3 minutes to play. And Will Trapp comes off for Gene. Oh, Gene. And Seattle will restart. Here's Alex Roldan now. As they're looking for Georgie into the box. And that'll get out. So this will be a goal kick. So can either find the winner in the next couple minutes. If not, we are going to a shootout. This has actually been a very, very entertaining match here. We've had good play. We've had bad play. We've had late equalizers. And St. Clair will play this one up. As Jackson Reagan. And that'll be a Seattle throw-in. As that deflected off a Minnesota player there. As they'll play this back to Andrew Thomas now. And Seattle will reset. So we have about a minute and a half left in regulation. Here's Rothrock. As Minnesota has essentially bunkered. Everyone is behind the ball for Minnesota. As Jackson Reagan will play this out to the left. Here's Kent. And it's Obed. Rothrock is on the overlap. As he lays it off to Rothrock. They'll swing this back out to Jackson. Here's Alex Roldan. Here's Georgie. 21, Georgie. Swings it out. Alex Roldan, play one, back post. Oh, and there's Dane St. Clair. As Ozosny just didn't have a good look at it. As we are in our final 30 seconds here. As St. Clair will play this up. Headed forward. Right there is Alex Roldan, and Thomas will sky this one out. As we are getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Final 3 seconds. And we're in the 90-minute. And this will probably be the end of it as we get into a shootout. As Botzall will take this throw-in. It goes into the box. Headed forward. Kept back into Pereira. And that's going to get taken deflection, so that'll get out for a corner. The last time Minnesota had a corner, it was Markanich at the back post. Seattle has to do a good job here. They can't allow back post runners here. Obed Vargas got burned the last time. Here's Pereira. As that ball swings in, headed away. Here comes Seattle. And there it is. That's the final whistle. So now we will go to a shootout. As Minnesota has essentially taken off their best players now. As Seattle is ready. Minnesota is ready. It'll be Andrew Thomas versus Dane St. Clair in this shootout. Three after regulation, as Minnesota got goals by Pereira, Diaz, and Markanich. Seattle got their goals by Rusnik, Mazovsky, and Jordan Morris. So here we are. As games 1 and now 3 have gone to a shootout. Minnesota took the first shootout in game 1. As does have an opportunity to rectify, to right their wrongs from game 1. And we will find out in just one moment if Seattle can do that or if Minnesota is going to advance. As we will find out the shooting order in just a second. As Dane St. Clair is getting instructions, Seattle, as a team, is huddled there on the touchline. And it looks like we're almost ready to go here. As it looks like, yeah, I would probably assume Markanich and Longwayne will probably be a part of it for Minnesota. I would assume Jordan Morris, Rusnak, Rothrock, maybe Ozzy is going to be a part of this. Man. I'm glad Seattle was able to get into this position, but shootouts make me absolutely nervous. As we, looks like we're almost ready to go here. Dane St. Clair, Canada's number 1. And, of course, Andrew Thomas. Seattle's keeper when it comes to these shootouts. So we'll see exactly how this thing is going to play out. As there's Minnesota's 10. I would assume Trianis is going to be a part of this. And we'll see how this plays out. As there's Brian Schmetzer and his coaching staff. As now the ref is getting instructions to both Andrew Thomas and Dane St. Clair. All right. And it looks like the dorky Minnesota fans are ready too, with their pride scarves and their trans flags. Looks like they're ready too. Not that I have a problem with any of it, but okay, maybe I do. Looks like Matthew Breckshot says, I hope this won't be a 10-9 shootout. I actually hope it is. I hope this thing goes the distance with Seattle winning at the end of it. I might be biased. Minnesota will have the first attempt, and it's going to be Pereira versus Andrew Thomas. As Pereira scored early in the match, getting Minnesota back one with a free kick goal in the first half. Beautiful free kick goal. So we are underway. It'll be the left-footed Pereira versus Andrew Thomas. Here we go. Ooh, and he missed it. Oh, boy, and it looks like Andrew Thomas just hurt his wrist. Diving for that one. Shit, I think he broke his finger. As Pereira completely missed it. As now Andrew Thomas, as he came up holding his wrist pretty good. And it looks like Stefan Fry might have to come back into this one. And I wonder what the rule is here as we watch this again. Yeah, and it looked like it might have been his pinky finger. Looks like the way that he dove and he landed on his hand there. And it's his right hand, or excuse me, his left hand, but it looked like, yeah, maybe it was his pinky finger, maybe. And it looks like they got it taped up. As Pereira misses the first. Wide left. Excuse me, wide right. And so now Seattle has the opportunity now. As it looks like, yeah, they're going to tape up Andrew Thomas's hand. It looks like they got the old electric tape out. As it looks like Stefan Fry is there ready just in case. And I wonder what the rule is, considering I think Seattle only got 2 keepers available for this one. And I think Andrew Thomas is going to stay in this one. As they apply the tape. And it looks like he actually dislocated his pinky finger. That's what it looks like. They are heavily taping his pinky finger there. So that's exactly what it looks like. So as we're waiting for Seattle's first shooter, as it looks like Andrew Thomas had his pinky finger dislocated there. That's got to be tough. And it looks like he's got his gloves on, and he will be ready to go. So it'll be Albert Rusnak for Seattle. And with the weight, you're hoping that doesn't. So here's Rusnak now versus Dane St. Clair. As we are ready to go, here's Rusnak, and Rusnak will bury it. Seattle takes a 1-0 lead. You're in the shootout. As Rusnak went right, St. Clair went left. And that'll bring up Trianis now for Minnesota. As Andrew Thomas will stay in as goalkeeper for Seattle. As Trianis is the right-footed kicker. And you'd probably assume that the move is going to be to the left here. And Trianis has actually had himself a pretty solid game today. And here we go. Trianis. Oh, what? Oh, and it goes in. Thomas got his hand on it. Guessed right. And it goes off the mitt and into the back of the net. So we're tied at 1 here in the shootout. As Andrew Thomas guessed right, he just deflected it up and back into his own net. Got both mitts on it. So this will bring up Jordan Morris now for Seattle. And now Dane St. Clair has got an issue with the spot. Punk. Here's Jordan Morris. J-Mo. Oh, he hits the crossbar. Actually picked a good spot. St. Clair went the other way. J-Mo dinks it off the crossbar. And we're still tied at 1. And Seattle gave away its advantage. Here's Gene for Minnesota. As we are getting set for this one. Right-footed kicker. And that ball goes in. Andrew Thomas guessed right. Just a little late. And Minnesota now has got a 2-1 lead. As Andrew Thomas guessed right, just was a little bit late as Gene buries it. And so that'll bring in Jackson Reagan, the center back. And it looks like Dane St. Clair is talking trash. And it'll be Jackson Reagan now against Dane St. Clair. And Jackson will bury it 2-2. And now Jackson will talk shit right back to him. I like it. And that'll bring, looks like it'll bring Dugan, center back for Minnesota. So we got ourselves a center back shootout. As the shootout's tied at 2. And Dugan here is the lefty as well, too. Oh, right there. And Minnesota takes a 3-2 lead. And that'll bring up Kent. Ryan Kent. And Dane St. Clair's got some words with the side judge here. It looked like he told the side judge to fuck off. That's interesting. So it'll be Kent now versus St. Clair. And Kent buries it 3-3. And now this will bring Bobby Boxall. It'll be Kent versus Boxall versus Thomas here. Seattle needs a stop. Boxall's the right footer. Can Andrew Thomas get a stop here for Seattle? Here's the shot. And that goes in. Minnesota leads 4-3. As we will come down to the final shooter for Seattle, it'll be Paul Rothrock to extend the shootout. It's pretty simple. If he buries it, we go on. If he misses it, Minnesota advances. And then Rothrock, his calm demeanor, smiling. And Dane St. Clair tries to rally up the fans here. Except the last 3 times he tried to talk shit, he got scored upon. As Dane St. Clair continues to run his mouth. So it'll be Paul Rothrock here against St. Clair. Here we go. Rothrock buries it. So now we're tied at 4. And this will bring up Harvey for Minnesota. Against Andrew Thomas. As we need a stop here. As this match has progressed nicely into the shootout. A very entertaining match here. Game 3, Seattle versus Minnesota. And it'll be Harvey versus Thomas. And that goes right down the middle. And now it's 5-4 Minnesota. As that's the second straight time Minnesota's gone right down the center. And that'll bring out Georgie Monongo. And now Dane St. Clair, again, is shouting at the ref for some reason. Again, same situation. If he makes it, we extend it. As Monongo is the left footer. Actually, he's the right footer. And it goes in. St. Clair got a hand on it, but it goes in. So this shootout extends. As we look at this one again, yeah, St. Clair got a hand on it, but it deflects right back into the net. Here comes Markanich for Minnesota. And the youngster do. Dude, he looks like he's 15 years old. As he sets up in a left-footed stance here. And there's the save by Andrew Thomas. And he points to the crowd. Yeah, I don't hear you talking now. As Markanich misses. That'll bring up Obed Vargas. And if he buries it, Seattle advances. Good save right there by Andrew Thomas. As he guessed right on Markanich. Can Obed Vargas deliver here against Dane St. Clair in the 7th round of the shootout? He's the Alaska native. The Mexican international. Here we go. Oh, and he just completely whipped it off the post. Obed Vargas. You don't need to do all the tricks, bud. As he tried to do a lunging stutter step, and he's completely just gaffed it. And he hits it off the post. All he had to do was just hit it clean. So now we go back to Minnesota now. 5-5. And here's the kick. And Andrew Thomas does it again. Against Hudson. Good save right there by Andrew Thomas. Back-to-back saves for Thomas now. And that'll bring up Ozazi De Rosario. The youngster. As Dane St. Clair again apparently is talking shit to the ref. And there's a yellow card. Oh, boy. It looks like Dane St. Clair just got yellow as he's been mouthing off. He's been mouthing off to the ref the entire time. As Rosario has got to put it back on the white dot. And it looks like Ozazi is ready to go. The young son of Dwayne De Rosario. Here's Ozazi. And that's a save right there by Dwayne St. Clair. So now we go to the 8th round. And here comes Longwayne. And he just missed it. He didn't get a good shot on that ball either. So this will be Longwayne now for Minnesota. As he takes a deep breath. As Andrew Thomas is set. Here we go. And that's a goal as he beats Andrew Thomas. 6-5 Minnesota. And that'll bring up Alex Roldan. Can he extend it? And it looks like Dane St. Clair is chirping at Alex Roldan. Here's Roldan. And he buries it. So now we go to the 10th round of the shootout. As Alex Roldan did his job. And it'll be goalkeeper versus goalkeeper. Dwayne Claire versus. And that's a goal. St. Clair versus Thomas. So now it'll be Thomas versus St. Clair. 7-6 Minnesota. And here's Andrew Thomas now. Here we go. And that's, oh, did he miss it? Yes, he did. As Minnesota advances, as Andrew Thomas puts off the crowd, as Minnesota beats Seattle in a 2-1. Golly. Oh, well. All right, so let's go ahead and check these out real quick. Yeah, dude, St. Clair is definitely a pump, 100%. Nah. Well, the stream is up, baby. Let's see. Plot twist. Let's see. He's just watching another person who's watching the game and repeating what they. No, I'm actually watching it off my stream. That's cool, man. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Yeah. Let us see the reflecting glass behind you. No. Let's see. Wow, those stutter steps, PKs are the worst. Yeah. Huge chance for Obed. Yep. 100%. Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely agree with this as well too. I think it's a joke as well too. And then we have Minnesota advances with not one single win in any win match. I agree. 100%. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the stats for this one. As Minnesota advances in a PK, Seattle, by the way, won the possession battle 62-38, which actually pisses me off is the fact that Minnesota was down a man. And that second goal was just absolutely a killer. That goal off the corner at the back post when Mark Kanich was completely unmarked. That just pisses me off. Seattle wins the XG battle 2.89 to 1.01. Total shots, Seattle 22, Minnesota 11. Shots on target 8-5 for Seattle. Big chances, Seattle 6, Minnesota 3. Seattle also missed 3 big chances to Minnesota's 1. Accurate passing, Seattle 456 to Minnesota's 244. Fouls committed, Minnesota 13, Seattle 8. Seattle won the corner battle 5-4. When you look deeper into the shots, Seattle had 16 shots inside the box to Minnesota's 7. Seattle also had 6 shots outside the box to Minnesota's 4. Passes, Seattle 538 to Minnesota's 337. 169 passes in their own half compared to Minnesota's 144. Passes in the opposition half, 287 to Minnesota's 100. Accurate long balls, Seattle 30, Minnesota 19. Accurate crosses, 6-4 Minnesota. Touches in the opposition box, Seattle 43, Minnesota 21. Seattle was offsides twice to Minnesota's 1. Discipline, yellow cards. Minnesota had 4 plus a red card to Seattle's 1 yellow card. Tackle battle, Seattle won that 12-11. Interception, Seattle won that 14-12. Minnesota had 25 clearances to Seattle's 24. They also had 6 blocks to Seattle's 4. Duels, Seattle won the duel battle 42-35. Ground duels, Seattle 27 to Minnesota's 24. Aerial duels, Seattle 15, Minnesota 11. Successful dribbles, Minnesota 5, Seattle 3. Seattle pretty much was in a position where here's the weird thing, right? Because Seattle just checked off. That first goal, the first goal is what it is. From the set piece, but that second goal at the back post, that second goal was Diaz in the 67th minute, and again it came off a cross from Boxall, off a throw in, and to allow Boxall the space to, number one, even get a cross in, but also Obed Vargas's job at that point is to mark Diaz at the back post and just to essentially he had space to do whatever he wants. And of course he puts one in. And then Markanich in the 71st minute, again, at the back post, unmarked off the corner, to check off twice in that situation is absolutely shambolic as far as I'm concerned, but it is what it is. So Minnesota advances. And I got to be honest with you, man, it absolutely fucking boils my blood. But it is what it is. So we look at this now. Minnesota will now advance, and they play the winner of Portland versus San Diego, which goes off tonight at 9. And it looks like Cincinnati and the Columbus Crew have already kicked off real quick. They kicked off a while ago. And that is in the 36th minute. That is still 0-0. They will advance to play the winner of Miami versus Nashville, which goes off in about an hour and a half. So it's unfortunate that Seattle is out, but it is what it is. So from that standpoint, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Before you go, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons, and also make sure you hit the notification bell, because we are coming in to an international window. And of course, starting on Monday, we have USMNT Yanks Abroad as we recap the weekend was for USMNT pool players in Europe. And then, of course, we begin our coverage of the international window leading up to the run of games for the U.S. men's national team versus Paraguay. And the U.S. men's national team versus Uruguay. So this is an absolutely huge window for the U.S. men's national team. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons, and also hit the notification bell. So that's going to do it for me. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. James Happ, who checked in. We got Glosito V. We got the Black Mamba. We got X Delta. We got Arcturus. We got Omar. We got Ryan Gloria. We got Michael Lamb. We got Akil Saram. So I want to thank all of those guys for tuning in today, man. Thank you for participating in the chat. Thanks for all those that are tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the MLS Playoff live stream. And of course, we will continue to have these live streams every single weekend. So hopefully you guys will tune in next week, and as we prepare for the second round of the MLS playoff. So thanks again, guys, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. And of course, hopefully you guys tune in for the U.S. men's national team as well too. This is an absolutely big window. So you guys have a great evening. Take care, guys.
close under fading skies.